The drama between Aaron Rodgers and Pat McAfee is very confusing. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the apparent drama between Pat McAfee and Aaron Rodgers. Word on the street, the rumor is that Pat McAfee fired Aaron Rodgers, or at least suspended him, due to a few comments he made on a recent episode of his show, talking about Anthony Fauci and Jimmy Kimmel and C-19 and home remedies and a few more things. Now, before I go any further, I got to back up a little bit for full context, because you may not know who Aaron Rodgers is, you may not know who Pat McAfee is, or why this whole thing is a story. This involves a whole lot. We're talking about ESPN, ABC, Disney, big money, big pharma, federal government, all that stuff. Free speech, a little bit of everything is in this story. So let's back up. Now, Pat McAfee hosts the Pat McAfee Show on ESPN. This is one of the biggest sports shows, if not the biggest sports show in the country, maybe even the world. A really, really big deal. Now, Aaron Rodgers, of course, he is an NFL Hall of Fame football quarterback, played for the Packers for a very long time, and at the end of his career, he played with the New York Jets. Now, Aaron Rodgers had a segment or a weekly appearance on the show called Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays. This is a seasonal appearance, and he was on his fourth season. And when I say seasonal, I mean that he wouldn't be there the entire year. He would start at the beginning of the football season, NFL football, and toward the end of the season, meaning maybe a little bit after the playoffs, Super Bowl, he'd be done and go do his own thing. He returned when football came back. Now, Pat McAfee announced the ending to his fourth season. Now, people are like, what's going on? Football's not quite done yet. Playoffs, Super Bowl, and in previous years, he wouldn't leave till like March, maybe sometimes. So some are saying that this was a regular ending of the season because football is done, at least regular season. But others say he was suspended or fired because of what he said recently on Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays. Now, the problem is Pat McAfee made this statement about his season being done on the Wednesday after the Tuesday, but on Thursday, Aaron Rodgers came back to the show to speak on Bill Belichick, because after 24 years and 6 rings, Bill Belichick left the New England Patriots. So there's kind of a lot of confusion going on. It's like, okay, did he get fired? Did he not get fired? Is there a drama going on? Did Pat McAfee get a call from the big boss upstairs, Bob Iger, talking about, hey, man, you can't have this guy talking about Jimmy Kimmel. That's one of our assets. You can't have him speaking about politics. That gets us in trouble. We don't want the government down our back. Did that happen? Now, I have some video here we're going to get into. And if you want to see any of these clips, of course, I'll link them in the box. But let's check this out. This is the video that sparked the first bit of controversy. And pardon me if I pause it at certain points, because it's ESPN and they're going to try to give me a copyright. So I got to do it. But I will link to everything in the box. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
What we do know is the guy that stopped by yesterday caused quite a conversation.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
Now,
per usual.
Not like that. Yeah. So Aaron Rodgers Tuesday season 4 is done.
Yeah.
Complete season.
There's going to be a lot of people that are happy with that, myself included, to be honest. With the way it ended, it got real loud.
Now, again, Aaron Rodgers appears on the show in seasons. This was the ending to his 4th season. Some want to say it's because football is done, but it's not really. Others say that his season came to an early end because of what he said on this last episode on the Tuesday before the Wednesday, although he came back on Thursday for Bill Belichick and that whole news.
Mm-hmm. And real loud. I'm happy that is not going to be my mentions going forward, which is great news. We're a conversation show. People are having conversations. We live in a country that has freedom of speech, but also you're going to have to deal with the consequences of your freedom of speech. So what I'm saying is we've given a lot of people who've been waiting for us to fail a lot of ammo and things to attack us for over the last week, and we would love to get back to the point where we just.
So, I mean, what are you saying here, my man? You're kind of all over the place. Are you saying that you suspended him, or are you trying to say that you don't want to really attack some of the more hot button issues that Aaron Rodgers does attack?
Move on and continue to silence all the haters over here who can't negotiate as good as I can, all the people over here who can't create a show as good as us, and all the people up here who are just going to always be here, and they're going to hustle and do their thing, which I respect. But we need to do that, and that is our focus. That is our goal. And Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. He's a 4-time MVP. He's a massive piece of the NFL story.
Let's pause right here for ESPN and their copyright purposes. I'm glad they're giving Aaron Rodgers his flowers. Aaron Rodgers, one of the best to ever do it, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. He belongs in that conversation for sure. But what are you going to say about the things that he said on your platform that are not necessarily football related? Talking about C19 and Jimmy Kimmel. Oh, and by the way, he said that Kimmel possibly, maybe, could be on the Epstein list. And that was really, really, really controversial. It's been back and forth between him and Kimmel over that issue. We'll talk about that a little bit more a little bit later in the video.
Whenever you go back and tell it, he will be a huge part of it. We are very lucky to get a chance to chat with him and learn from him. Some of his thoughts and opinions, though, do piss off a lot of people.
A lot of people.
And I'm pumped that is no longer going to be every single Wednesday of my life, which it has been for the last few weeks. On Friday, obviously, I threw us into the fire as well.
Now, again, he's saying every single Wednesday because Rodgers will come on there on Tuesday and talk about whatever's going on. And then on Wednesday, he get all the kickback. People who hear the podcast, they digest it, and then they email him. They send him stuff on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever about the podcast from the day before. All right. Now, are you saying that won't be in your life anymore ever, or just until next season? You see how what you're saying right now can be misconstrued. I don't know which one it is. You put out a statement, and that's even more confusing. We'll get to that in a minute.
Forever stand by that. Everything else, though, just can't do that, and not what we want to be known for. And I'm also pumped that I don't have to do these types of talks anymore. So with that being said, sports are alive right now.
Yep.
All right, so that's Pat McAfee again of the Pat McAfee Show, one of the hottest sports shows in the world. I'm not necessarily a fan. I'm not trying to say anything bad about him, but I'm not really into sports that much anymore. All right. So here is some things that he was talking about, speaking about Kimmel and a few more things that may have gotten him in some trouble.
Then we fast forward to this last week, right? And I said that a lot of people, and I'm quoting myself here, a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, are really hoping that doesn't come out.
Now, he's speaking about being on the Epstein list. That is the context here, and that is part of the controversy, and that's why Kimmel, again, an ABC asset, part of Disney, and this show that he's on is ESPN, part of Disney. Now we got a conflict. You're talking about one of our biggest assets, my man. What's happening? You're trying to damage the company you are helping, that you're appearing on, It's like going on the company that's sponsored by Coke with the Pepsi product in your hand.
End quote. That's what I said. That's the entire quote. Okay. I was referring to the fact that if there is a list, which again, this hasn't come out yet, this was just a deposition, right? And there are names on it, then that would be the second time that a soft brain junior college student, wacko, anti-vax.
Now, what he's talking about right now are the names that people will call him. They say that Aaron Rodgers is a wacko, nut job, soft brain, JUCO, all this and that, and the third.
Anti-Semite, purveyor, spreader of misinformation, conspiracy theorist, MAGA, whatever other things have been said by him and other people in the media would be right twice.
So there was more here. He also spoke about the vax, about home remedies and doctors who were silenced. He said a lot on this show, but the two main things, Jimmy Kimmel and that ongoing feud that they have, and also C19, those two things he said. And again, this is January 9th. That's the most recent episode that he was on. Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays. The 10th, what I just played for you before this is what Pat McAfee said. And the 11th, he was back on the show speaking about Bill Belichick. All right. Now, here is Jimmy Kimmel responding.
A guy who went to community college, then got into Cal on a football scholarship and didn't graduate. Someone who never spent a minute studying the human body is an expert in the field of immunology.
So because he has questions about the vax, he may speak to doctors who know more than him about the vax, and his opinion is different than yours, then he's a moron, right? That's the whole thing. That's like part of trusted science. People like Anthony Fauci, who came out and said the whole thing about 6 foot was arbitrary with no basis in science at all. But still, trust the science. I'm science. I'm doing things that are patently unscientific, but trust the science. Got you.
He put on a magic helmet, and that G made him a genius.
So you see what's going on. A lot of back and forth between Kimmel and everybody else. Now, here's a statement from Pat McAfee. It's kind of a long statement. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But basically, let me just get down to this here. Also, our fans know that Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays, ends shortly after Aaron's team's season ends. That's how it's been. He'll make random surprise welcome pop-ins during big events or off-season adventures, but it's always been a season thing. I never said he'll never be on the show again. I hope he chooses to still chat with us. We've been lucky the last 4 years to ride the wave of a season with a 4-time NFL MVP, 2 of which during the ART era, and get his thoughts along the way in real time. I certainly don't love that I found myself in political wars and public beefs because of something that a guest has said on our show or something that my dumb A has said, including a lawsuit that was very public. But I think what I've come to realize is that it's going to come with the territory of this venture. We are much more aware of that now. And for the good of our lives, happiness, and mana, we're going to try and avoid as many as possible. I tell that to say this. We have a lot of pride with the boys our fans and I have built. We found what we're good for. There was a lot of different points during our journey that could have ended or stopped or slowed down because of the entire team. We've kept rolling. I love them. I'm thankful for them. And we just want to talk SH, the rest about sports. See you tomorrow. Cheers. So that's Pat McAfee's statement. I didn't read the entire thing, but you can see it right there on the screen before you. And of course, I will link to that in the box. But that's pretty much it. Kind of convoluted. Here's what I think as I close. I think maybe his season came to an early end. Maybe. Okay, because if the season normally ends when his team's season ends, then why would he be around as late as March? Because there's no football at that time. Football is totally over. Super Bowl, everything is done. So what's going on? I think maybe there was an early exit because they wanted to avoid a lot of controversy. And maybe there was a call from the big boss, Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, like, hey, man, you're talking about Kimmel. That's our asset with Disney. You're talking about the vax. We may have an asset in that as well. It's too controversial, too much going on, and we don't want to have politics really be wrapped up in ESPN or Disney because that is a big thing that drew a lot of fans away from the brand to begin with. So you got to let them go, at least for now, and then have them come back next time without all the political stuff. That's my humble opinion. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but that's all what I got for you right there, and I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your take on what's happening here? Do you think that Aaron Rodgers was cut from the show early or permanently because of things that he said about C19 and Jimmy Kimmel and Anthony Fauci? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think that there is some issues here that Disney did not like, and Pat McAfee got a phone call. And how they're going to handle it going forward remains to be seen. But as of right now, they probably wanted to put that fire out. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.